Minister, again, I'm asking for a very specific question on an update on the work of the Wool Council. And I know 30,000 was allocated to the Wool Council. How much of that, if any, has been drawn down? And where are we at in relation to the recommendations from the consultants that carried out a report on the possible potential for wool? Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
For your continued interest in this, and it is an important issue. As you are aware as well, the Independent Irish Grown Wool Council was established in April of last year, following the recommendations from the Wool Feasibility Study. And to support this establishment, my department committed, as you said, the €30,000 in seed funding. So I'm aware that it had its first AGM in February of this year. The Irish Grown Wool Council reorganised its committee structures and appointed an interim chair from the 1st of March to the 1st of June of this year. And a new interim chair was appointed on the 2nd of June 2024. More information on all the work that they are doing, and they're doing some great work, and I've had the opportunity to bump into many of their members over the course of the past year at different events, agricultural shows, at craft shows and so forth. Its organisational structure can be found on their website itself, irishgrownwoolcouncil.com. To date, of the €30,000 that you asked, €15,383,000 has been allocated, has been drawn down, and a further claim has recently been submitted to my department and is currently being processed by my officials. I don't have the value of that particular drawdown.
Thank you, Minister, for the update. You know, this was a promise or an objective in the programme for government, that the government would explore the range of possibilities of wool. And to think it's classified as a waste product is just extraordinary, isn't it, in the 21st century, facing a climate change. So I'm really trying to get from that to that point with a thriving industry on the range of possibilities that there are. I know you're far more familiar than I, but I've made myself familiar with it. So everything from insulation to medical products to cosmetics. And we're wasting it, we're classifying it as waste. And so the Wool Council, I'm on record for saying the whole thing is very woolly, but I don't wish to be, you know, I really, this is a golden opportunity no more than seaweed for sustainable industry in Ireland, particularly all over the west coast of Ireland. And so how do we get from classifying wool as a waste, and we're paying the farmers absolutely nothing, to getting a thriving industry? I'm not sure if the Wool Council with its 2 interim chairs is the right mechanism. I welcome it as a start, but what is the department doing, and yourself, the ministers, doing in relation to leading this gComhairle?
Minister. Thank you, Deputy. And look, I share your passion for wool and the value that it could, you know, provide to society and to the economy and to, I suppose, ultimately to sheep farmers. I'm one myself, and we sheared our sheep this week, but I think because we established the independent review of it, and the recommendation was that the best way to explore the opportunities for Irish grown wool is through the establishment of the council. I suppose we just have to, at this stage, support the council in everything they do. I mean, I would like at some stage that they would come back to me and present me with some proposals around what might work, because I mean ultimately they are more the expert again than myself, or even indeed my department officials. They are the shearers and the wool merchants and the crafters and the innovators. And you are right when you listed out all the possible potentials in relation to wool, and it is vast, and I think it goes far beyond what ordinary people think of when they think of wool. They just think of a woolly jumper, and it's probably a bit itchy, but there is much potential there. I suppose the challenge is that potential, while it has been tapped maybe in other countries, other jurisdictions, hasn't yet, you know, attracted that investment in Ireland. And I suppose that's what we're ultimately trying to achieve here, a demand for the products that can come from wool, and ultimately, you know, build on that through investment, either, you know, from abroad or indeed from our own country.
Deputy.
You see, I think the demand is there. The programme for government put it in 2020. It's now 24. It took up to 1st of July 22 to get the report. Okay, it took another time to get a council, now an interim chair, now another interim chair. And we're still at the stage where we're wondering if there's demand. But in the 21st century, having declared a climate emergency and a biodiversity emergency, it's the obvious answer to build sustainable industries around wool. along with seaweed, that empowers the local people to live sustainably and also gives an alternative to our utter reliance on foreign direct investment. So we have Enterprise Ireland, we have Údarás na Gaeltachta, and I can't remember, IDA. And any amount of money going for small companies and set-up companies, but absolutely nothing in relation to wool. So we've got to move beyond the Wool Council, and I think you need show leadership here in relation to the Wool Council in directing them. They might be independent in the sense that they've been set up independent, but that's what the government choose to do. But you can give directions to them as to when we will have a report from them. How well are they being financed and resourced so that they can actually do something 4 years after the programme for government committed to doing something? Or Margaret, I can't
The
call
case
it.
with the Woolly Council, will the Wool Council be a little less woolly, Minister?
Well, it's woolly enough, according to the Deputy. But I think, look, I share the frustrations, and it does seem slow, but at least there is a council now that is...
Some potential.
I absolutely share those as well. And in fact, there are small industries out there already, you know, trading in Irish wool, and whether it is in relation to sort of fertiliser or production at a small scale. It's not large enough, I accept that. You know, there are companies out there making pillows and you know, bedding out of wool. And the Irish Grown Wool Council, I was quite proud, and indeed they contacted many of the ministers for the St. Patrick's Day parade and gave us you know, Irish grown wool, or it was 60%, it was Irish, you know, we don't have 100%, but, you know, of scarves and gifts to bring abroad to just showcase what we could do. I think ultimately it does need to have, I mean, the feasibility study showed that this was the mechanism by which we get there. As I said, I do look forward to some, you know, proposals that should be funded. I don't think anyone's against funding it, but they do have to, you know, add up. The figures have to work, and it has to look like it is going to be profitable for people. And I think ultimately we are getting there. But I would love to see it, you know, established much more quickly and have a very viable sector for wool and for those who produce the wool.